Hello. So in this video we are looking at what punishments were used in Anglo-Saxon England. We've got two learning objectives: to understand why punishments were given in Anglo-Saxon England and to understand how punishments during this time could be used as a deterrent and retribution. And there are two key terms we will look at during this video. Now you've got your worksheet in Google Classroom and there are two tasks to do at the end of this short video. As always, any queries or questions you might have, feel free to contact me, gbrown at stopsyhighschool.co.uk. So, in the past, when a victim had been murdered before Anglo-Saxon times, the victim's family would seek revenge. They would go to kill the murderer, understandably. This would then lead to the deceased murderer's family looking to get revenge as well and kill someone from that family. And so you end up with this cycle of violence where you have got one family trying to wipe out another family. This was known as a blood feud, and it was seen in the past that entire family trees could be wiped out because of this. This changed in Anglo-Saxon England, and a new fine was introduced called the weregild, the man price. Were meaning man, like werewolf, man wolf, for example. Gild means price. And so what this meant was there was now a compensation for the loss of life. Now, the amount you were worth, the amount your life was valued at, depended on your social class. And you can see there's a list here. So 1 shilling is roughly £100. So a prince was 1,500 shillings, a peasant 200 shillings, and you get a bit of racism here, with a Welshman only being worth 60 shillings. Now, have a quick think. Where do we see anything like this today in modern England? Well, we see this in some form with, for example, life insurance and compensation for injuries. So we do still see this day, this idea of money being used. Now, some crimes would receive either capital or corporal punishments, and these would be used as retribution and a deterrent. These are key terms we keep referring to in this course. It's important we know what these mean. Just pause the video here. What do you think those four terms mean? Capital punishment, corporal punishment, retribution, and deterrent. Have a think and then press play to continue. Okay, so hopefully you've got something along these lines. First of all, capital punishment, the death penalty, the most severe form of punishment available. In medieval times, this was usually being hung, as you can see in the top picture. Corporal punishment is slightly different. It's a range of punishments that would cause harm or pain to the body. So, for example, mutilation, cutting off a hand, as we can see in this bottom picture, or beating someone up. Retribution is a severe punishment to match the seriousness of the crime. It's like a form of revenge. It's like getting your own back here. And a deterrent is a punishment that is frightening or painful, and the aim is as a deterrent to put people off committing the same crime. So, for example, if you cut someone's hand off, all the people that are watching that hand being cut off would be so shocked, in theory, there are some sick people out there, but in theory, they would be so shocked by seeing the hand being cut off, they would make sure they never committed the crime because they would not want the same punishments. That's a deterrent. There are three types of crimes people could commit during this time period in Anglo-Saxon England. The first one is crime against authority. Now, this would include treason, for example, going against your leader or betraying your lord. Now, this is the most severe type of crime. You had to know your place in Anglo-Saxon England. You had to respect your leaders and the people above you. If you failed to do this, the punishment was to be hung. Now, once the body is dead, it would be put on display afterwards. It could be seen for miles around. Usually the gallows where the people are executed were on top of a hill. So for miles you could see this dead body swaying in a noose in the wind. This is a grim deterrent to other people who would see what would happen to them if they were to go against authority as well. So it warns others. The next crime is a crime against property, and we can see the noose here again. But the punishment here would depend on the type of crime committed. Now, if you were taking part in destruction of property, this was a very serious crime. Things like arson, for example, setting fire to people's property, or just destroying it in general. Property at the time For example, someone's house or a field of crops showed the power of a person and the wealth they had. There wasn't really any insurance. Once it was gone, the person's wealth had gone as well. So you need to protect the house, you need to protect the land that this person has. So if you're found guilty of destroying property, you'd be hung. But there were lesser crimes as well here. So, for example, counterfeiting coins, making fake coins. That's not as serious a crime, but it still got a severe punishment with a hand being cut off, as we see, we refer back to this picture we saw before. This makes it hard for a person to repeat the crime because it's quite hard to make fake coins with just one hand, and also shows other people what would happen if they did the same thing. And we're going back to that key word there. It's a deterrent. It puts people off committing the same crime. Now, theft would be punishable either by paying a fine or by having a hand cut off. And the last one is a crime against a person. So here, the worst thing you could do is killing a person. And we've seen this already. The punishment was the wergild. A crippling fine was given to you to pay. Serious assault on a person, really beating them up, would lead to you being maimed. This could mean, for example, a hand being cut off. But public disorder, so for example, being a bit of an idiot, shouting abuse at someone, being annoying, could lead to the stocks or pillory being used. So let's look at that now. Stocks and pillory. Now this is a combination of physical pain and discomfort, but also humiliation as well. So we can see two different sets here. Now the pillory is the top one. That would secure the arms and neck in place, and that would cause huge discomfort. If you just put your arms out in front of you right now and hold them there, not only will you look very stupid and strange, but also you will feel that discomfort after a few seconds. Please do not pretend you won't. The stocks would secure the ankles, so we can see two different effects here. Now, the victim would be placed in the centre of the village in full view of the entire neighbourhood, who might abuse them, shout abuse, slap them in the face a little bit, spit in their face, throw rubbish at them. And you're also exposed to the weather as well. And you can imagine the weather in England 1,000 years ago wasn't much better than it is today. But let me ask you this question. Do we have any punishments in Britain today that have elements of humiliation in them? Do we have any humiliation that we've kept over the last 1,000 years? And one example of this today could be seen with community payback. So, community payback is this idea of people doing work to sort of restore parts of England. So, for example, picking up litter or restoring a building, doing some decorating, anything like that. But they have to wear a jacket. It is required that they wear a bright orange jacket which says community payback on it. Now, that has been done on purpose so people know exactly what they are doing and exactly why they are there. So there are still some elements of humiliation that we use today. It's not just something that was used in the Anglo-Saxon times. Okay, so going back now to your worksheet, there are two tasks for you to do. The first task, task 1, I've got a statement here. Anglo-Saxon punishments were completely different from the punishments we use today. I'd like you to write me a paragraph, please, to tell me what you think about this. Do you agree and to what extent? So do you strongly agree, strongly disagree, completely disagree, slightly disagree? Tell me your view and tell me why. Back it up with evidence, please. Compare and contrast the two time periods. Anglo-Saxon England 1,000 years ago and the modern day. And task 2, I would like you please to pick just 2 punishments you have seen from this lesson. And you can explain to me how these punishments were both a deterrent and retribution. So show me you've understood those 2 key terms from the lesson. Again, just a short paragraph there will suffice. Pause the video here and then press play to conclude this lesson once they are both done. If you need to go back, the yellow slides will help. Okay guys, and that is it for today. They are the punishments used in Anglo-Saxon England. Hopefully you've enjoyed this short video. Any questions or comments you might have, feel free to contact me, gbrown@stopsleyhighschool.co.uk. And as always, please look after yourselves, get some fresh air and exercise where you can, and I will see you soon. All the best and take care. Bye-bye.